main card Fox fight, first one, welterweight division, Mike Swick and DeMarcus Johnson. Stevie, this one, it has the makings of a great opening fight, but it's going to be a good fight. I'm not sure who to go for this one. What about you?
Well, again, this is another case of a guy I like personally who I'm not sure what his competitive level is at this point, because DeMarcus the Darkness Johnson won me over on his season of The Ultimate Fight. Kind of DeMarcus you're going to get in a fight. Are you going to get the DeMarcus that knocked out Clay Harbison, or are you going to get the one that was submitted by Amir Sadallah? You don't know which one's going to show up at any given time. Whereas if Swick has one thing going for him, it's that he is a longtime veteran of the sport, and he's got a certain amount of consistency in his career. You know, he may have lost a couple recently, you know, to Dan Hardy and Paulo Thiago, but he's also only taken 2 fights in the last 3 years. So before that, he was an outstanding fighter, and, you know, we're talking all the way back to 1998. That's incredible when you think that he has so few MMA fights on his record, but he really has been around forever. So I tend to favor the veteran, and sometimes that really hurts me in these picks, especially of late, but I just have to go with Swick here.
So the problem I have with this fight is that Swick hasn't fought since 2010. He's been injured over and over again, and a loss here puts him at 3 straight losses, pushing his last win to June 13th of 2009 in Germany at UFC 99, for crying out loud. So, you know, I always like saying statement fight, statement fight. This is a prototypical statement fight for sure, because Swick is going to swing for the fences here, because he knows that if he doesn't win here and put on a dominant performance, he has to win this fight. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. But DeMarcus Johnson, I mean, he's a very talented fighter. But you said it yourself, Stevie, it's experience over youth, and I think Swick, I can't see him, I don't see him losing this fight. I'm going to go with Swick. What about you, Kev?
I'm going to go with Swick as well.
Yeah. The next one is Joe Lawazon against Jamie Varner. I'm going to go first on this one. It's one of those things where I can pick with my head or pick with my heart. I'm actually going to pick with my heart on this one. I think Jamie Varner wins here by decision. What about you, Stevie?
Emotionally, I probably would go with Jamie Varner, but I'm actually going to pick with my head instead of my heart here and go with Joe Lawazon.
Kev, break the tie.
Hang on. My stats are loading very slow here.
There's only one stat you really need to know about Joe Lawazon. He sent Gabe Rudiger packing.
You know what? I'm going to go with Jamie Varner on this one, I think. You know, he's got a nice little streak going with them. He finishes fights really good. You know,
so does Joe Lawazon.
Yeah, so does Joe Lawazon, but, you know, at the same time, he's got a couple of critical losses against some really good opponents where Jamie Varner has overcome some really good opponents. So, yeah, I feel comfortable with going with C4 here.
All right, well, time for the semi-main event or the co-main event, because this potentially could be a number 1 contenders fight, depending on the main event, as Lyoto the Dragon Machida fights Ryan Darth Bader. This fight, boy, as much as I hate to say it, I don't see Bader winning this fight. I have Machida winning by knockout, and I'm going to agree with Paul Lazenby. I don't think a loss here will force Dana to cut Bader, but it'll put him on the bubble. So Machida wins here by knockout in the second round. Stevie?
I don't think he's nearly on the bubble to any degree, because Quentin Jackson is a solid win for him, even though it was a decision and it wasn't that exciting for a lot of people watching. But a win over Quentin Jackson is something anybody can trumpet, and he knocked out Jason Brills before that, and Jason Brills was at one time believed to be the guy who actually beat Little Nog and got robbed. So Brills was a real deal guy, and now he's on the other side of the equation, and things have not worked out well for him. But, you know, up to that point that he got knocked out, you couldn't count out Jason Brills in any fight. So I don't think a loss to Machida hurts Bader that much after 2 big wins. But then he did lose two big fights before those two wins to Tito Ortiz and John Jones. So it's really hard to say with Bader. I think they'll keep him around because they feel like he's a prospect, and they need every prospect they can get their hands on. But it's definitely going to move Machida up to getting a title shot if he comes out there and just absolutely knocks the hell out of him. And I don't know if he will, because Machida likes to use that unorthodox striking, and it's not to say that he doesn't have devastating finishes. I've seen one live. I've seen what he did to Rashad Evans, and of course everybody remembers what he did to Randy Couture, but more often than not, Machida is the calculating fighter who makes you second guess yourself because you don't know what he's going to throw or where he's going to throw it from or what he's got coming at you next. He's like a more sophisticated Brian Ebersol. He's like what Ebersol would be if he didn't suck.
I'll never forget my wife when she said after the Tito Ortiz fight, I guess we're going to downgrade Darth Vader to Anakin.
I don't know if that's even fair, because Anakin was pretty much a badass in that third movie.
Kev, who you got winning this fight?
Oh God, this is tough. This is a great semi-main event, if you ask me. This would probably be a fairly decent main event on a UFC on Fox card. So, okay, remind me again, because I've completely blanked now. What did you guys pick?
I picked Machida and Peter picked Machida.
I'm gonna go with Machida, I think. And I could very easily see this fight going either way. This is probably going to be a decision win fight. I don't see any knockouts coming.
Well, for the main event, we've got Shogun Rua against Brandon Vera. Stevie, I know, I have a sneaking suspicion you're leading towards Shogun winning this fight decisively.
I've been saying it since day one when they first announced this fight, and I will say it again, and I will continue to say it until I'm proved wrong. 100 times out of 100, Shogun Rua wins this fight.
Kev, who you got winning this fight?
I haven't made up my mind yet.
Alright. Stevie, you're gonna mock me on this one. I'm gonna go for the upset win here just to prove a point. I'm picking Brandon Vera to shock the world and end this fight in the third round.
You are a fool. I am so confident in Shogun Rua winning this one that if I was a betting man and I was in Vegas, I would actually put money on Shogun. I don't care how long the odds are, that's a guaranteed investment.
Oh, jeez. Kev, anytime you want to jump in here, break this tie.
I would love to go with the upset of Brandon Vera, but here's the problem. Whenever Brandon Vera gets to facing top flight competition, he chokes. You look over his record of who he's fought here.
His only major win is over Frank Mir, and that was when Mir was coming back from his motorcycle accident.
He gets a win over Elliot Marshall, and that's kind of soft. Ended up going no contest with Thiago Silva because NSAC had to overturn that fight. John Jones is a round one TKO loss. Randy Couture, the old man of the league, got a decision win over him. Keith Jardine, another old man of the league, another decision win over him. He had to struggle to get a decision win over Krzysztof Szosinski. Further back in his history, lost to Tim Sylvia, lost to Werdum. You have to go all the way back to 2006 to see him get a good quality win with a first round TKO of Frank Mir. So,
and again, that was when Mir was just coming back from his accident.
Yeah, so, when you flip it on the other side, Rua, lost to Dan Henderson, win against Forrest Griffith, loss against John Jones, win over Machida, lost to Machida, win over Liddell, win over Coleman, lost to Griffin. Here's the difference between these two guys. Mauricio Rua has fought nothing but top shelf talent for, last 5 years. And so, yeah, I I have to agree with Stevie here. I think you would almost be a fool to bet on Brandon Vera winning this one.
Well, if you go on betonfighting.com, our good friend Nick Kalikas has the odds up for this show, and Brandon Vera is plus 280 to Shogun Rua is minus 350, and that's not the longest odds on the card. The longest odds are Wagner Prado at plus 475 to Phil Davis's minus 675.